Well, you know, there's lots of factors that can help you succeed in the workplace or in the C-suite, but one of our regulars says there is one factor in particular that can set apart a good leader from a great leader, and that's emotional intelligence. Back with more tips on how to get ahead, workplace expert Mary Abbajay of Careerstone Group. Mary, good to see you. You know, when this all started being discussed a while ago with EQ, what's your EQ versus your IQ, I realized that I needed some work on my EQ. Why is it important?
EQ is important because your IQ, or what we call in the biz, your technical skills are only going to take you so far. And as you said in your lead-in, the real difference between good and great, especially in leadership, is all due to emotional intelligence. Harvard Business Review has found this, Princeton has found this, and the Center for Creative Leadership. EQ is what makes you great as a leader. I
at least feel better that I think in Washington I'm in good company. I think this town is full of people with very high IQs and plenty of other people who need a little work on their EQ. So
I'm not saying anything.
You've helped us break it all down. You study this at length, and you say there really are 4 basic segments to look at when you're trying to break down how to improve your EQ and how to gauge it.
That's right.
First and foremost, self-awareness. Secondly, self-management. Third, awareness of others, your social awareness. And fourth, relationship management. So let's take that apart and talk about self-awareness first.
All right, so self-awareness, and let's remember EI or EQ is really about our ability to manage our emotions and to manage them in a way that's constructive and productive.
Rather than impulsive?
Rather than impulsive.
Okay,
right.
see, this is my first flunking grade.
The first thing is about self-awareness. Oh no, Rebecca, there's no flunking in EQ.
Okay, thank you.
The first one is about self-awareness. You really need to know what's going on inside of you. You need to know whether you're being hijacked by your emotions or whether you're using them well. You need to know what your triggers are. You need to be aware of what is going on for you at any time, because you need to be choiceful. So you need to know, are you angry? Are you mad? Are you upset? Are you hooked? What's going on for you?
Okay, so I'm great on that front.
Okay, great.
I get the fact that I'm very self-aware of the fact that I'm way too impulsive and emotional. So moving ahead to knowing that. Secondly, self-management, and that's where a lot of us really fail.
A lot of us really fail. So it's really about, so once you know what's going on for you, like you may know you're impatient, how do you manage that? So people with high emotional intelligence in the self-management part are able to manage their emotions and the behaviors. So you're able to take choiceful actions. Instead of like when you're angry at Starbucks because it's taking too long, instead of like yelling at the person in front of you, which I've done, just order already.
You have not.
Oh, yes, I have. We all have to self-manage. So it's about self-managing to be choiceful in your interactions.
Okay, good advice. You say the third prong of this, and it's a really important one, is don't just be self-aware, be aware of others, have social awareness.
Right. Because we're not just walking around all by ourselves, right? The workplace is a social system. So the social awareness is it's about being aware of what's happening for other people, looking for cues, what's going on with their emotions, their needs, their wants, and being aware that in fact there are other people in the world and having some empathy.
So we're on the third prong. We've got all this in a chart if anyone's having trouble following, so we'll pull the chart up and show you. So we've talked about the third one, awareness of others. Let's get to the fourth part of this chart, and you say it all works together, and that's relationship management.
Yeah. Can you build positive working relationships with your colleagues and your peers based on what you know about yourself and what you know about them? Can you be the kind of person that draws people to you, or are you pushing them away? Managing relationships and conversations and encounters and engagements requires a lot of emotional intelligence.
And unfortunately, you're saying to people like me, you can't pick and choose who you want to be in relationships with in the workplace. You have to try and get along with everyone on the playground.
You really do. I mean, it's one of the keys for success, really play well with others. And you can see this. I mean, I can give you so many examples of leaders who have been amazingly emotionally intelligent and not that smart, but they do very well.
Well, I hate to follow this up immediately following that, because I think, you know, he's smart about a lot of things, but I've always said that I think one of the reasons George Bush beat Al Gore was his EQ. He's someone who gets along well with others. Al Gore, the reporters behind the scenes, we saw his EQ, but on camera he seemed pretty stiff.
That is a perfect example of someone with really great emotional intelligence, and look how far that took him. So
for George Bush.
For George Bush. And it's really important because when you're at work, there's a lot of things you have to do. You have to manage conflict, you have to manage relationships, you have competing agendas, you have to have difficult conversations, you have to, if you're a leader, you have to inspire people, get them to follow you. That all takes emotional intelligence.
Or Mary Abbajay to tell you how to do it. You have so much more. We could do a whole hour on this. Mary Abbajay, thanks as always for joining us. When we come back, we'll tell you how to stay in touch. Stay tuned.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.